Good morning, YouTube. Okay, I am going to be showing you guys my soaping supplies finally. I am going to put you guys up here for a second. Okay, today I'm going to make another soap batch. I don't know if I'm going to be able to film it, but I am going to show you guys all the supplies. And I'm going to start with, this is my stick blender. My mom gave this to me last year. We've had this in our family forever. Since I was a little kid, she's had this one, and then she finally went and bought a new one last year. Once I started making soap with this one, but she was like, the blade's starting to get really like not that great. It is good still, but it's just not as sharp. But I can always buy new blades if it really starts to become a problem, and if it seems like this, like it takes a long time to trace with it. But it's a bronze, so it's a great quality. Years. I mean, we've had it for years. She also gave me the scale. This is the scale that I use. It's a salter. It's pretty great. Pretty simple. Does exactly what I need it to do. Okay, the mixing bowl. This also was given to me by my mom. Love it. It has a nice rubber bottom, so it'll actually stay nice and put on the counter while I'm mixing. Great handle. Nice pouring spout, and then when I'm going in with the spatula to get everything out, it's nice because it's just great plastic, so it comes off, and it's really hard and it's really big. I've never made a batch that's been bigger than this, so it's been great every single time I use it. This is the pan that I lay all my molds, that I use as my mold. For right now, it's been fine, but I am eventually going to be trying to get an actual mold because every time I use this one, because it's rounded, there's always soaps that come off with rounded edges, which kind of come out weird. So, I don't know. I'm going to eventually get a mold. This is the one that I use to make the cold water bath, glass Pyrex. This is what I use when I'm actually mixing the lye and the water. It's aluminum, stainless steel or something like that. And this is actually used to heat up milk. So this goes on the stove, and it's very heat resistant. I mean, obviously, if you've got direct flames on it, when it's heating up milk, I thought this was perfect. And the reason I also ended up loving it is because the lye water used to take forever to cool down, and I'm trying to find, I was looking this morning for this other measuring cup that I had, but I haven't found it. I don't know where. I don't know where I ended up putting this other measuring cup that I have, but it's like a silicone, I just don't know where it went. It's like a silicone measuring cup, and I used it once for the lye water, and then I used it for something else. I think when we were thinning out our paintbrushes and cleaning up our paintbrushes, I put paint thinner in there. So it's already been used for chemical mixing, so it's never going to be used again for cooking. But I didn't like it because when I was mixing the lye water in there, it's like it got so hot that it started bending the plastic, and I just didn't like it. And it took forever to cool down. So then one week, one of the batches that I made, I tried this, and it was great because as soon as this goes into the cold water bath, it starts to cool down so quickly. So eventually, I don't know if I'm ever going to make a batch where it's going to be much bigger than this, the lye water, but for right now, it's been perfect. I never really make that big of a batch that it requires so much lye water. The trick is, though, that sometimes the part that scares me the most when I'm making soap is obviously making the lye water. I actually do get really nervous when I'm mixing the lye water because it's such a dangerous chemical. But what I do is I've been using these pinch bowls. Oh my goodness. Sorry. I've been using these pinch bowls to measure the lye because I've never really used so much lye that it would be more than these little pinch bowls. And obviously I use gloves, so they look really small to mix lye in. But what I do is I would measure the lye out in this, and then measure the water out in here, and then pour the lye like this. So some people would say it's dangerous because it's so small, you're so close to the actual lye. But I've never had any problems at all when I make lye water, ever. So I use these, or it depends on how I'm feeling. I might also use these. These are the two other bowls that I have. These are usually used for measuring out the oils because they're bigger. So if I'm using a lot of different oils, I've never used more than 3 different oils, but I don't know, like it just depends on how I'm feeling and what I'm doing that day and what kind of supplies I'm going to be using. So anywhere between these, and then I also have this. I might sometimes make the lye water in here and then pour it in here. I don't know. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. So I use a variety of different things. This is another little one. These I'll sometimes use to hold essential oils or smaller quantities of oils or powders or fragrances. What else? I've got the 2 thermometers. I'm using meat thermometers from now until I actually go and buy good thermometers. But they've been working out fine. They always come out and give me the correct temperatures. This one, the lowest it comes down to is 130. So normally if I use this one I'll use this one for the oil and I'll use this one for the lye, because the lye needs to be a lot more exact in temperature than the oil does. This one comes down to 20 and it goes up to 220. This one I don't like using for the lye, like I said, because it only shows you 130. So normally if I want it to come down to 120 or 110, I'll have to wait a little while for it to get down past the 130. So I use both of these until I get better thermometers. That's what I have for right now. This is where I filter my water, my Brita filter. So I use filtered water. People have, sometimes I'll boil the water and then let it cool to make sure there's like all the impurities are out. I haven't used distilled water yet, although I know that most people have told me distilled water is the absolute best because it's got no impurities in it. Then I have, this is just a little cup that I'll use either for essential oils or for holding, because it pours really nicely. So this might be, usually I use this for any kind of essential oil or honey, for example. I've got 2 different kinds of rubber plastic spatulas. My spatula is actually starting to get frayed a little bit from the chemicals. And then I've got this one, which is great because it bends nicely, so it can also be used for scraping out very well. I've got my glasses, my goggles, and then I do have a new pair of gloves that I have somewhere underneath the sink that I have to go look for. And that's basically it. I have parchment paper upstairs. So I've been lining the pan. The last batch that I made, I lined the pan with parchment paper, which was great because the mold came out perfectly. And then today what I was going to do was the rest of this honey. So I have to heat this up and get this out of here. The rest of the honey, soybean oil, and today I'm going to use coffee for the first time. So we're using Starbucks caramel coffee for the recipe. First time I'm going to use coffee. And then the only other thing is I'll use this pan to heat up the oils. So it's a nice small little just saucepan. And yeah, that's it. That's basically my supplies. I'm gonna try and see if I can get this filmed to the actual soap making process today. But if I can't, I'm gonna definitely try sometime this week. So thanks you guys for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.